Hello and welcome to San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans,
by the fans.
I'm Josh Taylor. I'm with my co-host.
I'm Justin Smead.
We're going to be talking everything Padres, Chargers, Aztecs. If you feel free to have any questions, please chime in to at LBHost in Twitterland, and we'll be more than happy to bring your question on board. We're going to jump right into the Padres Week in Review. We started this week basically looking to prove ourselves.
Right.
We've played some pretty crappy teams of late, at least under 500 teams,
right,
and made a good run at it. But now we're playing, teams as the Giants.
Right.
We played Miami, who's a little bit down, and now we're playing the Reds starting today. We went 2-4 so far on the road trip. Now we're in Cincinnati, as I said, for a 4-game stretch against the red-hot Reds, a team that's they've won 10 in a row. What's your opinion over the last week? I mean, it's kind of tough. We had a couple tough, close losses.
I mean, 2-4, that's not going to get it done. We're hoping for a little better start after the hot start after the break. So we wanted to transition to the Giants series. We wanted to take 2 out of 3. We did not. We thought we could capitalize on a weak Miami team. That didn't happen. We scored some runs though. We didn't do too bad. They're just going through. It's like the dog days of summer right now, and I just think that they're wearing down a little bit. The younger players are starting to come down to earth here. The spark isn't as much there as it was right when they got up here. But 2-4, not going to cut it. I'm hoping against the Reds, and from what we know right now, I mean they're up 10-5 right now. So far, the game's almost over, and that we know of for now that Alonso's already got 3 doubles in about 6 innings. So that's crazy. But
absolutely, he's been hot.
Very hot. But other than that, it's subpar at best, and they just need to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy if they could at least break 500 on this, which means we'd probably have to take 3 out of 4 from Cincinnati.
Nice.
But it's doable. I mean, look at we put up 10 runs today. I don't think we're going to have to face Latos. I think we
miss him, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a good chance that we can put a run together, maybe take 3 out of 4. I mean, it's a possibility with Vato being on the shelf.
That would be nice.
Take advantage of it.
It seems like the Miami connection we got from the Reds are really coming through. I hate to be a downer on the news of Grandal, but he looked like he went out with an oblique strain today. He might be out a few weeks now, but those guys have just been mashing. So it's a good sign, and hopefully they can keep it up.
So with Grandal going down, I know we had talked about this before the show, but most people might know it sounds like Hundley is also has an injury. So, I mean, what do they do? Who do we got down there?
I don't even know the reserve catchers right now. I don't know what the AA system's like. The AAA is stocked with Hundley, but he's on the shelf with a hamstring issue right now, so he's not an option at this point. Baker's going to have to fill in, and I think they're going to have to pick somebody up if they have to put Grandal on the DL.
Right. So. Moving on, as far as our Padres Week in Review, I want to touch briefly, Carlos Quentin, the second game of the series, absolutely crushed the ball in the 8th inning in the gap, and Angel Pagan, or Angel Pagan, however you want to say it, he made the most ridiculous play, if you want to kind of touch on it.
The stupidest, coolest play I've ever seen, and I hate that it was against us. Unfortunately, Carlos Quentin hits a scalding ball to the gap, and we're going, sweet, we're going to break this game open, get ahead, and bring Street in like we talked about. And this guy just makes a crazy leaping catch, full extension, eats dirt in his face. One of the highlight reels, it was on the number 1.
Right.
It was, on this top Sports Center top 10. So a guy makes an incredible catch, and we lose a game that we probably should have won. So
right, yeah, tough break. I mean, like you said, Carlos Quentin absolutely hit it, as hard as he could. I mean, when he hit it, I think everybody, even the announcers, thought that it was in the gap.
Oh, yeah.
Headley's going to score.
Too, yeah.
We got Street coming in. He's going to shut it down. And he just made a
phenomenal catch.
Arguably probably the best play of the season.
I haven't seen a better play this season. I mean, I've seen some good ones, but that was pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Padres did avoid the sweep in the 3rd game of the Giant series. Marquis throws a 7-inning gem. Jesus Guzman hits 2 bombs. Headley also hit a bomb that game.
Right.
So it was kind of nice to avoid the sweep and only lose 1 game in the division.
Definitely. I mean, we've touched on it the last few weeks. Marquis, the Kip Wells of the world, coming in and doing pretty darn good jobs for how old they are. Pitching solid. They're hitting their spots. They're going deep into the innings, which we need. Save our bullpen for the next few nights, especially on road trips. You can really tax the bullpen quickly. But as far as the overall performance of Marquis, for me, I'm loving what he's doing for us. He's been a great fill-in for the Padres this year.
Right, he has. I mean, he's not a number one by any means, but he's been a solid starter for us. You know, since he's come up,
it's been solid.
You know, he's really held his own and got us some victories. You know, so that's been good. I mean, like we touched on the Miami connection, you know, Yonder and Yasmani have both been just killing it, man. I really hope this oblique strain doesn't turn into anything, but they've had 4 hits and 5 RBIs in the last 2 games. Yonder has another 3 doubles today. I mean, the guy, he's got a Padres record for most multiple double games.
Yeah, already passed Adrian Gonzalez and Tony Gwynn. So, holy cow. I mean, keep it going. These guys went down to Miami for the Miami series and really just lit it up in front of family and friends. They got home and they served up a little home cooking of themselves and really, really stepped to the plate and made some impact hits for us. Got some RBIs that were key in the series. Yep. And just been run-producing fulls as of late. So it's been a good thing.
Absolutely. Volquez, you know, looking to stay hot against his former club today, which, I mean, up to this point he had only given up 5 runs, you know, up 10-5. But for the month of July, he's 1-0 with a 1.93 ERA.
Not shabby.
Pretty solid.
Volquez has been a solid guy all year. I think his run support has been skewed. He's not getting much run support at Petco, unfortunately.
Better of late on the road, especially.
Exactly. On the road, it's been good for him. Volquez has been solid, and I'm really excited that he's here because we've had so many key injuries this year on the pitching staff.
Absolutely.
And he's been that one staple we can count on every 5th day to come in there and give us some good innings.
Absolutely. Some news that you guys might not have caught on to. This happened in the last day or so, but Houston Street was signed by the Padres. You know, 2-year contract worth $14 million. I mean, what a solid pickup. He's 2-0 with a 0.91 ERA. He's 17 for 17 on saves. I mean, I'm really excited that the Padres were able to nail him down.
Yeah, me too. Frankly, Padre baseball is always known for closers and bullpen. And to lock down a guy of Houston Street's ability for another couple years is very, very exciting. We know going into the 9th inning with a lead that we have a solid guy coming in, a ground ball pitcher here and there. Yeah, and especially with Petco playing in his favor, he's going to have more saves for us in the near future, which is going to be great for the Padres.
Right. I mean, it hasn't been lights out like you would think of Bell and Hoffman.
Not that dominating
40, but then again, we haven't gotten them, you know, many chances down the road because we haven't been in many games this year.
And he was hurt, too. You got to take into account that month he was out.
True. So, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to with Houston in the future.
Oh, yeah. Great signing.
Absolutely. I think he's going to be very solid for our bullpen, which arguably is, you know, still one of the best in Major League Baseball.
And that's just, again, reiterating to the fans that they're committed to the ball team.
Absolutely. So, very exciting.
Yeah, the next few years, once we get that ownership group, like we keep talking, extend the payroll a little bit, bring a couple more guys in, Houston's just going to add to the depth of pitching that we have, and it's going to be a solid closer for a few more years for us.
Right, and Josh Burns has, you know, been a man of his word to this point. You know, the trade deadline is tomorrow.
Right.
He said we weren't going to trade anybody. We've signed Carlos Quentin. We've signed Houston Street. You know, Headley is still on the team. You know, I think a lot of good things moving forward with this insurgence of young players as well.
Yeah, and he said he didn't necessarily say he wasn't going to trade anybody. He just said he doesn't have to. He's got control of all these players. Why trade anybody?
Right.
And the guy you're hearing tomorrow at 1 p.m., the deadline ends. So I guess we'll see that 31st deadline. We'll see if anybody, if there's any moving pieces from the Padres end. But he's been pretty kosher to his word. He's been pretty solid on what he said, and I'm excited for what the future holds with Padre baseball.
Absolutely. You know, touch on it really quick. You know, when we come back, is there anybody that you'll see next Monday on our next show that isn't in a Padres uniform? Anybody that you think might come out of the blue, maybe out of the bullpen even?
I don't think so. I don't see anybody. The only guy you can really justify right now is Chase Headley. And hopefully for us, he's not gone because we could really use his bat in the lineup. I mean, I know Jed Jerko's down there hanging out in AAA, killing it, but he's not a solid major leaguer yet. We don't know anything about him up here at the level,
right?
You know, so.
Right. I mean, it's minor league numbers. You know, Rizzo was on fire as well when he came up for the Padres. He struggled. He's been playing well for the Cubs recently, but
the Cubs made out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Winning ball games for him. Jeez, man, that's one guy you just, as a Padre, wish he would have got it together for us, but he never did it.
Hit a walk-off against the Cardinals the other day.
I saw that. Wow.
So I'm glad to see that, you know, he's doing well. But, I mean, you know, with Jerko, like you said, we don't know what he's going to do in the big leagues.
He hasn't proven it up here.
Unless we get a Latos type, you know, deal for Headley, I don't see why they should get rid of him.
Right. No, I don't see any reason to move him either. He's a good player and he's controllable. And if we can get this Padre ownership on board, maybe we can sign him to an extension.
Absolutely. So moving on in the injury front, actually some good news for the Padres. Tim Stauffer is throwing some bullpen. You know, could be back in a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. He's actually going to go down to Arizona and throw some bullpen down there, and then they're thinking about sending him to Tucson to have some rehab starts. So that's some good news as far as the injury front and the Padres pitching rotation.
It's going to be great to get him back. And like we touched on before the show, maybe he can come in by year's end and have like 3 or 4 good starts, and then maybe roll that momentum into the following season. So maybe next year he can get in there with a little confidence, not worrying about his injury, and pitch well for the Padres.
Right, and I don't want him to like rush him along as much as I would love to see him come up right now. I don't want to rush him along because we need him for next year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We don't need him to rush him in and then he get injured again, and you know, then what are we going to do for next year? You know
because you got to picture what you have coming back next year. You have Corey Lupke, Tommy John. You've got Timmy Stauffer coming back. Anthony Bass will be back.
Joe Whelan.
Joe Whelan will be back. There's a lot of young pitching that we can really just solidified there with the starting 5. We have so much talent. It's just unfortunate with all the injuries we've had this year, Josh. It's been one after another of good players just hitting the deck, and it's just unfortunate. But hopefully next year that injury bug doesn't hit us so hard, you know?
Absolutely. We're going to move on to our next segment, which we call the Pick to Click. If you guys have been following in with us, we pick some players that we think are going to do good this week. You know, yours, unfortunately, if you want to tell everybody what's going on.
Yeah, mine was Yasmani Grandal. Unfortunately, I was watching a little bit of the game today, and he swung the bat a little hard on a fastball and yanked his oblique. And maybe he tweaked it. Hopefully it's just a tweak and nothing crazy and tear anything. But he was my pick to click because he's playing his former team. He never played for the Reds, but he played in their AAA organization. And I'm sure him and Alonso are just chopping at the bit to play their former team that traded him away.
Right, and mine was Yonder Alonso. The guy, for the month of July, has 3 home runs, 18 RBIs, and against his ex-team or in Cincinnati, he was batting .330.
Right,
so
on fire.
And, I mean, he's, as far as we know, 3 for 4 this evening with 3 doubles. So, I mean, that's looking pretty good for me.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. And he was in a little of a funk a few weeks back against the Giants. I think he was in like a 2 for something spell. Something crazy like that.
He was like 0 for 18
at
one
something
point.
Crazy, and he's
so it's
just
good to see him turn around.
he went down to Miami, got a little home cooking, and it's got him really on a roll now.
Absolutely. We're going to move on to our next segment, which is arguably one of our favorite segments, and that's our D-Bag of the Week award. Basically, you know, we're going to take – this is kind of anything that you can think of sports, you know, type news
sports
that we
related.
think is people that are kind of retarded or in this company.
D-bags.
Right, companies. So my D-Bag of the Week is actually going to be NBC, and the reason I selected them is because – you know, they play the Olympics live, you know, during the day, but when everybody gets off work and they want to see it, everything is tape delayed in the United States. And prior to everybody seeing the tape delay, they're telling us what the results are. So it's ruining the whole Olympic experience.
Yeah,
and
you already know on Twitter who won the medleys and all this other stuff. You're going, I don't even want to watch it now.
Right, it's ridiculous. I mean, they're completely ruining the Olympic, you know, feel of you know, seeing all these guys perform, because once you know who wins or loses, why do you want to watch?
Yeah, the surprise is gone. It doesn't make any sense.
The excitement's gone.
Right. It sucks. I like yours, by the way, because NBC shouldn't be doing that. Mine is going to be, hopefully I can pronounce this name right, Felipe Kidati, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. He accidentally broke his Olympic bronze medal while showering. That's, well, my first question is, I mean, come on, man. Why are you wearing your bronze medal in the shower with you?
Right.
Are you going to clean it? Was it sweaty? What happened? I don't get it. And second of all, how did it break? What were you doing? Did it snap off? Did it magically fall off? What happened? Did you bend down too far and hit the floor?
Drop the soap?
Oh my, yeah. What's going on there, Mr. Felipe? You get the douche bag of the week from me because I'm baffled by that. And on top of everything, he asked the committee to replace his medal.
Yeah, how are you going to explain that to the committee?
Hey guys, I was in the shower and I was shampooing and my medal flew off and busted.
Can I have another one?
Can I get another one, please? No. Laugh at you.
Yeah.
Laugh at you.
Right.
Just get out of here. What? D-bag.
So I hope you enjoyed the D-bag of the week. We're having some fun with it. We're getting a lot of good feedback, and we're going to continue on that from week to week. Now we're going to jump into some Charger news.
Chargers!
Recent news actually today.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell, Elastec.
Yeah,
Elastec.
Nice.
Yeah, waistband.
Sweet.
Aztec alum Kevin O'Connell was signed by the Chargers today to add a little quarterback depth.
Yeah, we need quarterback depth. With Charlie Whitehurst going down, there was a guy on the street named Kevin O'Connell. He actually just did a radio show with 1090 the other day. He filled in for the Darren Smith Show. Did a great job. He's actually inspiring to be a broadcaster. But he's in town, and I guess he looked good in prior tapes to the Chargers, good enough to bring him in for a little depth, and he'll go along with Jared. Who's the other guy?
Jared
Lee. Jared Lee. Go along with Jared Lee and Phillip Rivers. We're gonna have. I'm pretty sure we're going to have 3 total quarterbacks, but I don't know if we're going to carry 2 or not this year. He's just in for an added depth, so Phillip doesn't have to take as many reps. You can't do that in the preseason.
Right, and kind of what frustrates me personally is why do we get rid of Volek? There's no reason why they should get rid of Volek. I mean, it's not like he's a starter anywhere else. I mean, and he was a very solid backup, and now we're kind of having to fumble around and find guys off the street to fill the hole.
No, I agree a little bit. I was hearing little rumblings that he wanted to have a different role. He wanted to be maybe with a team that he might have an opportunity to start in or play or have some contributions.
Right.
It didn't. I mean, for me, I don't know where he's going to play.
He's not playing anywhere.
I don't think
now.
he's a starter. He's
Yeah.
a solid backup. I don't know. But on that front, I mean, Kevin O'Connell just adds the depth for you, and that's all he is as a fill-in until Charlie Whitehurst gets healthy.
So next piece of news, Jarrett Johnson is already gaining tons of respect, and been leading by example with his work ethic. I mean, the guy comes from Baltimore. He's got a pedigree, and he's starting to rub off some guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
Very exciting. They had an article on Chargers.com and reading about that, and teammates are gravitating to this guy for one, just knowledge of being in an awesome system in Baltimore where their defense was so dominating for years and still is. Quite frankly. Guy just brings a passion for the game and a leadership role we've been lacking here for a very long time. We need a leader on defense. Him and Takeo Spikes, I believe, this year are going to be very vocal and help lead the linebacking core to where it needs to go. He brings a run-stuffing ability to this team that we've been missing for so long. A guy that's going to hit you in the mouth. He's going to hit the gaps hard, take out the running back, and make sure he stays down. He's not going to break loose from any tackles. He brings a physicality to the Chargers we've been lacking, and it's great to see.
Right, and that's just going to open up things for Melvin Ingram. I mean, I was at training camp the other day with my girlfriend, and wow, that guy he is quick.
Yeah.
And
you can see why they rave about him in the draft-wise anyway.
Absolutely. I think we got a gold mine here, and I hope he can stay healthy and really show us what he can do because that guy – he's got some serious upside.
Yeah, no, adding guys like that, it just makes the whole defense better, and it's going to give more opportunities for everybody to get involved. Sean Phillips, Takeo Spikes, guys like that, Donald Butler. We got some really good linebackers this year. And they're just going to grow leaps and bounds from having veterans like that in here and bringing in a kid like Melvin Ingram.
Absolutely. Another thing that I noticed at training camp is Gates. He looks like a man possessed. I mean, he's healthy. His legs look good. I kind of feel sorry for Brandon Taylor because Tari Bigby is out with a minor injury, and Brandon Taylor had to cover him yesterday.
Getting picked on?
Oh, my God. Gates looks unstoppable out there, but I think it's good for Brandon Taylor, too, because it gives him some quality work against one of the top tight ends in NFL, arguably.
Yeah, it has its two sides to it.
Right.
I feel bad for Brandon Taylor, too, as a rookie. You're like, man, I got to cover, all-pro tight end Antonio Gates on my first job, in training camp. And I feel bad for him, but you know what? I don't really, because that's your job. You got to cover, and like you said, it'll make him better in the long run.
Great learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. Who other tight ends are you going to cover that as good as Antonio Gates and getting open and stuff? You don't find many. So
yeah, not very many.
They're going to benefit from the whole defense is benefiting from our offense anyway. They have to go against some really pretty talented guys on the offensive side of the ball. So.
Well, at least that's what we've been hoping for over the last couple of years. Our offense has been so stout, you would think it'd make our defense better.
You would think so.
So hopefully that rings true this year, because we're pretty deep as far as the defense goes.
Right.
Another offensive player, Jared Gaither, a little banged up during camp. He's a huge left tackle. How much concern do you have?
It's a little concerning when players go down at the beginning of camp. I mean, only to the extent of, well, it's a new season. You think they would come in physically fit. But it tends to happen more times than not. Players get nicked up, cramps, little twinges here and there. It's kind of common. I'm not particularly concerned, but it's something I wanted to address because Jared Gaither's our left tackle. He's the blind side for Phillip Rivers. He is our new Marcus McNeil. He's our anchor over there. That's a big concern when you're dealing with a big man like that.
Right.
Hopefully he can stay healthy, and hopefully they don't overuse him in the preseason. Hopefully he can get in a groove and be that left tackle that we need to protect Phillip Rivers.
Absolutely. Want to touch on a little bit of Aztec news briefly. It's more in the big leagues. Is Steven Strasburg. I mean, he's in some elite company right now. He's got 11.58 strikeouts per 9 innings. He has 151 strikeouts compared to King Felix, who has 153. Wow. But he's in the 37 2/3 less innings pitched than King Felix.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at that stat, I'm going, holy cow.
I mean, they're throwing up there with names like Kerry Wood and Randy Johnson. I mean, that is a pretty elite category. Elite company when you're talking about flamethrowers.
What can you say about him? He's a fireballer. He does everything well. He's a number one guy. The K's have been just piling up, though, for Steven Strasburg. He's been awesome this year, and the only concern with him is if the Nationals are going to shut him down this year going into the playoffs, because that's the big topic with Steven Strasburg this year. So hopefully they don't shut him down. I know it's concerning because they don't want to re-aggravate his elbow.
Right.
But
understandable.
The way he's rolling along, I wouldn't take him out for nothing.
Right.
Seriously.
I mean, they're holding him to innings, or a pitch count per se, because like you said, they want him. It's his first full season. He's been injured.
Right.
So they want to get him deep into
innings.
Deep into the season, and arguably they're probably going to be in the playoffs if everything stays pat. So they want to make sure that he can dominate when it comes to playoff time as well, and get him far into the postseason.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree.
So got some fan questions coming through as far as week to week. We ask you guys to tune in. This is a show for fans. By the fans, and we always look for your input, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that we want to get your information out there. Our first question came from @BoltsFan1972. He wants to know, who do you think needs to step up for the Chargers D to dominate this year?
For me, it's going to be Corey Liuget, first round pick. He was taken very high, held in very high regard. Last year didn't have the best year in the world. I think he was twinged up a little bit. He got banged up a couple games.
Yeah, he did.
He's a good player. He's a big physical guy. He needs to step it up this year. He's a first-round pick, just like Larry English needed to do. But a first-round pick needs to act like a first-round pick.
Absolutely.
So that's who it's going to be for me. Who do you think?
Me personally, I think it's going to have to be Sean Phillips. And the reason I say that is because, when it was him and Merriman, I mean, they were dominating from either side. And the way I've seen, Melvin Ingram come off the edge if Sean Phillips can step up and have a year like he did 2-3 years ago, it's really going to help the defense.
Right.
Get to the quarterback, and it's only going to help the secondary as far as shutting down the receivers as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for Sean Phillips, what really set him apart a few years ago was Sean Merriman, and having a Melvin Ingram now.
He's not getting double teamed now.
Exactly. Maybe they're going to put a little more focus on Melvin Ingram, stopping him, double teams or whatnot, and maybe Phillips can get into the backfield and get to the quarterback.
Absolutely. Our next question comes from @Surfer3Jeff. He asks, will Gates have more than 1,000 receiving yards this year?
For me, I don't think he'll have 1,000 receiving yards. I think he's going to have anywhere from 11 to 15 TDs. I think he's have a big year TD-wise in the red zone.
More red zone.
More red zone. I think he's going to float around 800, 900 yards. So he's going to be right there, I think. But for me, it's touchdowns in the red zone. That's where he's best utilized in our offense.
Right. Yeah, I was doing a little research, and just in 05 and 09 has Gates surpassed the 1,000 mark. Wow. I mean, obviously, if he does, it's going to just be phenomenal for our offense.
Add to his stats.
But I think with so many different weapons we have coming in this year on the offensive end, I don't think he's going to have enough touches to get to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I don't think so either. There's so many guys that are going to get the ball this year.
Spread it around.
Right, with the running backs we've brought in, tight ends we have. The ball... Phillip Rivers is going to be very hungry this year. He's going to be feeding everybody. He's going to be feeding everybody, bud.
Right. Next question we got comes from @CT2SD. He asks, is Volquez auditioning tonight against his other team as far as the trade deadline goes?
Is he auditioning for a new team? Yeah, no. We touched on it earlier. I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think he might be a long-term solution here in San Diego. Maybe they sign him up. I don't see him leaving, but then again, we've talked about this too. The trade deadline is so finicky. We have no idea what's going to transpire between now and 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Right, yeah, you never know, and I agree with you. I don't think he's going anywhere.
There's that small chance.
Right, but he solidifies our future as far as the starting rotation goes, and there's no reason why the Padres should even consider getting rid of him. I mean,
look at our starting five.
Right.
We don't have anybody. Why would you get rid of anybody at this point?
Too many injuries.
Yeah, we have to have them in there. We don't have anybody else to turn to.
Next question that we have on tap here is from @Padres Anthem. And what they want to know is it's kind of our agree or disagree that we were talking about last week. Agree or disagree, Amarista should be the leadoff hitter for the rest of the season.
I disagree only because I'm such a big Logan Forsythe fan.
Really?
Yes, I am. I like him a lot.
From the leadoff role?
No, from a leadoff standpoint, but that's not going to happen because Logan Forsythe's going to get split time. So that's my whole point. I disagree in a way because Logan Forsythe's going to have spot starts. I think Logan has more power to offer us and doubles and stuff. Amarista is a firecracker, speedy guy. I think for me, it's no. I just like the way they're meshing, and I like the rotation of the infielders this year. Getting everybody involved, getting more playing time. I love Amarista, don't get me wrong. He's a firecracker.
Right.
But he's awesome in the leadoff role. I think he's great. But you still got to give Logan Forsythe some playing time at the big league level to see what he can do.
I agree. I mean, as far as Logan Forsythe getting playing time and taking from Amarista, but I think if Amarista's in there, he's in the leadoff role.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
The guy's a spark
if
plug,
he's going to be in the lineup,
and he's more consistent than like Will Venable or Cam Maben.
Definitely, yeah, and he's got a little pop in the bat.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
Absolutely. We got a question that just came in over the hot wire that we're going to bring over to you right now. Jason, you have that question?
Yeah, guys. The question is, where do the Padres need to finish to consider this season a success? I know at the beginning everybody wants to be in the playoffs and stuff. It's pretty obvious they probably won't be in the playoffs, but where do they need to finish? How many games within 500 do they need to finish for the season to be a success?
Well, heck, they're 13 right now back, or 13 games back of first place, and they're how many games below 500? 18?
Right.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't know if I can answer. I mean, to be considered, I think fourth place is where they're going to sit all year. I don't think the Rockies are going to push for the fourth spot. Third place would be awesome if we can get a surge going. I mean, we just haven't put enough together.
Right. I think 500. I mean, that would be awesome.
That would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But I think third place. I think if we're creeping up on 500, if we finish like 8 games back or 7 games back, I think that will be considered success, especially with all the injuries that we've gone through.
That'd be a win in itself.
I mean, they're 12 back right now with the win today, and if we get a loss from either the Dodgers or the Giants, now we're 11 back. I mean, I say 8 games back is not anything out of the realm of possibility.
No, and it's not. That wouldn't be even disappointing. It'd be okay. We could accept that.
I think 500's unrealistic, but I do think if we're within 10 games of 500, I think that I could consider it a success.
Yeah, that's not shabby at all.
At the beginning of the year, I was hoping for 500, but with the way things have gone, and we have had some injury issues and stuff, I think if we can get it within 10 games, it would be considered a successful season, something to build on.
Right. No, totally agree.
So we're going to jump to our last segment here, and it's basically our Twitter shout-out segment. We go through that Twitter homepage, and we're really following up on everybody's news, Padres, Chargers, Aztecs, and we tend to tweet you out here, and we want to shout out your information if we think that you're a good follow. For me, it's a couple guys. They're actually new to the Twitter world, but I know their background because they're my best friends. So that that's a little.
Well, it's good. You got people that follow you and want to learn how Twitter works.
Well, not only that, I mean, I just know they have a lot of good insight as far as the Padres and Chargers go, and I think you should follow them personally. It's at Surfer3Jeff, and the other one is at 1BoltFan520. They're very big San Diego sports fans, and I think you should give them a follow.
Nice. Yeah, and my Twitter shout-out's going to go to Back the Brown SD. These guys are really for bringing back the old-school unis. That's what they predicate.
Awesome.
They even have a website for it. I think it's backthebrownsd.com is what it is. But these guys really just really support the old-school Padre way. They want to bring back that classic look.
And bring back the retro.
Yeah, and they've always got funny little comments and really good news and insight about the Padres that they just their own opinions, just like everybody else. And they're a good follow, too. So follow Back the Brown SD.
Yeah, Back the Brown SD. I definitely want to see the retro unis come back.
Yeah.
Definitely more than a throwback Thursday for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If we could integrate them 2 or 3 times a week, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. You guys, we want to thank you for tuning in to San Diego Sports Junkies, show for fans.
By the fans.
My name is Josh Taylor.
I'm Justin Smead.
And we hope that you guys continue to tune in. We're really enjoying what we're doing, talking sports every week. And if you're a diehard fan, there's no reason why you shouldn't be tuning into our show. So we thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.